Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first Monday live stream. We used to do it on Saturdays, now we're going to do them on Mondays. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to football. Now, don't switch off just yet. A lot of you don't care about football, I get it. But this isn't really about football, this is still about politics. If you've heard in the news what happened earlier today, well, last night, the new European Super League is going to start with a selected number of clubs, top clubs across Europe. And this is everyone's kicking off because it's a cartel. It's a closed league. Smaller clubs and ordinary players can't really join. And this backlash, we're going to discuss this. But firstly, hello to everybody in the live chat. I can see the moderators are there. We've got Darius and everyone. Tim is there. So let's quickly talk about this. And there's a couple of other things I want to cover as well. First things first, this new European Super League. Now, this is basically all the big clubs, especially in the UK, in England. You've got the top clubs who all have foreign owners, and the owners who don't really care much about the British football culture. So this is simply about being money grabbing, greedy, collectivist, and protectionist. So this is the one issue that we have. Also, if you're hearing some noise in the background, this is actually my it's my rabbit causing trouble. So sorry about that, just ignore that. But the rabbit is very, very energetic tonight. So let's talk about this new cartel. And also, hello to Stephen Bryson. Thank you so much for your super chats. What we have is, for those of you who know, we've got FIFA, who's basically in charge of the international community of football. You got UEFA, that's basically a European version of that. Then you got FA, which is just for this country. Now, the problem is that there are no good sides. For those of you who are upset with this new European Super League, which is basically a European Union version of football, and you're not allowed to randomly join. It's a closed league. If you think you're upset with them, so you have to defend UEFA or FIFA, no, don't do that, because they're also as bad. None of these people, the elites, they don't care about smaller clubs. They don't care about ordinary fans or ordinary football players. And what we're going to say, like on this issue specifically, is that you've had all these big millionaires, your Gary Linekers and all the others who have taken advantage of the current structure for decades, somehow kicking off. Now, firstly, they need to calm down. Secondly, you got the big six clubs in the UK, in England, and that agreed. You got Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, and Chelsea. The issue is that they weren't really consulted. Now, you got the people at the top of Liverpool managers, football, actual players, and also Tottenham Hotspurs, who are kicking off, saying, well, we didn't even know about this. They didn't tell us. They're just going to do it randomly, the owners and the board, the management. So that's the one problem with it. Also, we have just a comment quickly from Alien Tenno saying, Maya, are you going to buy poor Keir Starmer a pint? I'm going to get to that because we did a video earlier about Keir Starmer getting kicked out of the pub. But one main issue here is that all actual ordinary people, ordinary fans, and this is not really about football, as I said, it's about the economy and the culture that kind of is around football. And I know for decades, you've already had UEFA, that's when like their president come out to kick off, saying that, oh, the European Super League is a spit in the face of all football lovers. Really? I mean, coming from UEFA, I mean, I'm not even defending the Super League. It's a terrible idea, and we should definitely boycott it. None of these teams should actually get involved. But UEFA presidents or FIFA, all these corrupt elites getting involved, saying that no, boycott this and support us instead. You have created the cartel for years, and no one said anything until now. So this is actually going to open a can of worms, and a new debate hopefully should start now about the entities that are FIFA and UEFA as well. So that's kind of the main point. And the second thing is, when you have a situation where other countries like Germany and France, especially Germany, that have a much better model when it comes to the management of their football teams, they're not getting involved. So they refused because of the way that they say commercial investors cannot have more than 49% of the shares. So the fans of clubs, the local clubs, are primarily the majority holders in terms of the voting rights and shares in general. So that's much better. And because fans own 51% of these German clubs, well, of course, they're not going to get involved. Whereas, especially Premier League, that for a long time, over the last at least 2-3 decades, the situation got much worse with big money getting involved and completely closing everything and opportunities. And I'm surprised the Premier League is still the best league in the world. But regardless of that, it's not really fair. The whole situation is unfair. UEFA and FIFA have made everything difficult for all the other countries and leagues. So again, ordinary fans and football players and smaller clubs are the ones that are being ignored. So if we had a system like Germany, it will be much better. The problem I have, so I criticize the new European Super League. I criticize UEFA and FIFA and even FA, but I also criticize politicians because Boris Johnson's government have come out to say that they are going to stop this new European Super League, which we agree. I mean, a lot of us do. I agree that it should be stopped. The problem I have is that you really don't want politicians to get involved in this situation. So I know that some people might say, well, we're desperate. You need a position of power to get involved. The precedent is going to be quite bad for the future. So football is already very political at this point. Everything's been politicized over the last few decades with big money getting involved. You've already seen Sky Sports with the BLM movement and Premier League and kneeling and all that stuff. You're just going to make it worse. And there are easier ways to stop this league from happening. Again, the power that people have is much stronger than you think. If fans decide to put pressure on their own clubs, and then players, and then the managers, it won't happen. So the problem is, of course, it's a lot easier short term to have Boris Johnson and Oliver Dowden as the Secretary of State to just say, well, if the English clubs get involved, then they'll be banned from playing for Premier League and all the other kind of leagues that we have, all the tournaments that we have. But do we really want the state to interfere? Do we really want politicians to get involved in this? So that's the problem I have. Now, we're going to talk about other things as well. So let's go quickly to the live chat to see what you guys are thinking. So John says, Yankee owners, American owners, are trying to make a league similar to the egg-chasing NFL, which is a socialist sport. Ironically, Americans think that our football or soccer is a socialist invention, but with no relegation or promotion, a salary cap. Yes, so that's true though. That is absolutely true. So the NFL, not necessarily socialist, I get what John says, it's actually protectionist. And that's what the new European Super League will be. It's protectionist. And there will be a lot of weird things in it. And the issue is, they've already said that there won't be any promotions or relegations. And Jeremy Corbyn came out earlier to confirm this. And I agreed with Jeremy Corbyn. What is happening to the world? I mean, he's still an Arsenal fan. And I should not really start this debate on this live stream, but I'm not an Arsenal fan. But despite his team, he was right. Corbyn said that one of the main issues with this is that there won't be any relegations or promotions. So what is the point? So you don't really want to create an NFL-style league in Europe. Carlos says UEFA is one of the most corrupt organizations in Europe, even with Brussels. Carlos is absolutely spot on. These organizations that have been running parts of our culture, football. Again, for those who don't really get football or don't really like football, it still matters because it starts from somewhere. And they've been controlling this. And then these are the same people who are in favor of globalism in general when it comes to getting rid of cultures and nations and, again, your normal, ordinary culture that you have. So this is what they've been doing. UEFA have been getting away with a lot of things for decades because no one really cared about it. All they see is, they got Champions League, they do Euros every 4 years. They're nice people. They organize all these things. They host them. No, they're all corrupt, like FIFA, and that's been exposed already anyway. Mr. Stripe says, this is how you know that football is no longer for the working class. The elites take notice of it because it's big business. True. And there is this thing about, there was this theory decades ago saying that if big money gets involved with football, then it will just completely go down. It didn't really go down in that sense. It actually got quite big. But when it comes to that, the organic culture that we had with football decades ago, before even I was born, then that's completely gone. And it's all become so clinical, and it doesn't really work. Again, you see the reason they become culturally plastics is the reason that they take the knee, just because there was a couple of riots last summer. they don't have an actual identity anymore. These clubs, the whole kind of again European football in general. So when you look at the South American football, it's completely different, but European football's completely lost everything. We have Paul Stevens saying, at least doing this, it gives Bristol City a chance of winning the Premier League. There is this thing, because they said if the top clubs are banned, then all the smaller clubs will actually do a lot better. Aston Villa could actually win the league, and West Ham could continue doing well. So, okay, but enough about the actual football aspects of it, because I know a lot of people don't really care about this part of it. But the political side, that is still quite concerning. And I again, for those of you who have been opposing the European Union, you know that any sort of globalist entity is bad. Because I always say, as a classical liberal, libertarian-leaning conservative, I always say that size matters because big is bad. Big business could corrupt. Big government could corrupt. Any big organization could corrupt because it becomes bureaucratic. It becomes corrupted in general because there will be vested interests running it. And then ordinary people, and as they say, little people won't have a say. So that's the biggest problem that we have. Sean says, if this goes through, then football is officially dead. I think there will be a bit of a shake-up. So I'm weirdly excited about this chaos, because just like how what the Eurozone did before Brexit, and it kind of started a new debate about Brexit and immigration, and then Brexit happened, this could be the beginning of a lot of shake-up when it comes to UEFA, FIFA, and FA. So I really don't think the European Super League will actually happen or successfully happen, but it could actually be the beginning of us finally having a conversation about the roles of UEFA and FIFA running the world. No Thanks says, I'm a Yank and a Chelsea fan for 25 years. If they go through with this, I promise I'll become a Newcastle fan. Why would you do that? But there's always Man United. Oh, I did promise not to say that. Okay, guys, the comment section is going to explode in a second. But yeah, Londoner supporting Man U, we get it. And it's funny because my line to support myself is always some clubs are local, some clubs are international. But I literally just criticize big. And whether it's big business, big football clubs. That there's a bit of a contradiction there, but you know what I mean. So this is what's been happening. But there are other things that's been covering the news, especially again when it comes to this area, the European side, European Union, European football. Politico said that the Irish, they're not really too happy with the way the European Union are treating them. This is again a perfect example of what we've been saying for the past 10 minutes, because it applies to every aspect of our political life. So you've had Varadkar finally coming out, now that he's no longer fully in charge. He's now saying that we've kind of lost Britain as a proper ally because they've left the EU, and the European Union really can't be the same anymore. That's oh, before I get to that, we have a comment saying, who are you and what have you done with the real Maya? The real Maya would never agree with state intervention or agree with Corbyn. To clarify, I did not agree with state intervention. I still say politicians should not get involved in this. But Jeremy Corbyn was right. But Varadkar, going back to the situation with Ireland, is that they are slightly concerned at this point, not just with Brexit itself, but with what Brexit's done to Europe. And again, because they're no longer, until now, they've had the UK as a proper ally. So anything that happened inside the European Union, any decision, Ireland and the UK went hand in hand, and they supported each other. Right now, Ireland don't really have anyone else. So Varadkar said that in practice, despite our enormous differences, Ireland aligned itself with the United Kingdom on most of the everyday issues that the European Union dealt with. That's true. He's also said that, again, this is just going to make everything more difficult, because as a free trade, pro-enterprise and pro-competition champion, we tended to adopt similar positions and similar opt-outs to the UK and look west to America as much as they look east to Europe. So this is the also beginning of a new debate. I mentioned in the last video how the Frexit as a concept could become a reality because Le Pen is doing really well. Macron is not doing well. There is this Euroscepticism massive movement across France right now and Western Europe in general. And France could be the next potential option and candidate to take back control. Now, if the same sentiment slowly to start to happen across Ireland as well, because it has to start from France. People always said the domino effect is when the UK leaves the EU. Not really, because there were always some cultural differences between the UK and mainland Europe. If France leaves Europe, then or the EU, that will completely change everything. So this is one of the biggest things that we're going to obviously discuss on this channel in the next few months as well. But if you are so far enjoying the content, make sure to click on the thumbs up button. It will help the video to get spread or shared by YouTube if they try their best to help us to recommend our videos. But it is what it is right now. But some of you know what the situation is. YouTube are not being friendly towards certain news channels on their side because they say it's not a priority for them to recommend the videos. But again, as I said, big business, big government, sometimes they get corrupted. And on the issue of the European politics and Brexit, it's going to continue because as the Irish politicians are coming out to moan about losing an ally, we know that even businesses across Europe, especially German businesses, are actually seeing the UK as an attractive place. CTAM reported that German British businesses are actually plotting to increase their investments in the UK. So they're moving slowly, very quietly, from Germany and other bases that they have to move everything to the UK because they know that despite all the flaws that this government have domestically, when it comes to business, especially international trade, they are creating a lot of opportunities. So again, Boris Johnson and all the, Rishi Sunak and all the other ministers, they have massive opportunity after the lockdown to redeem themselves, to make this country a better place. Because right now, it's not. Right now, there are a lot of issues economically that they've caused. Again, with the furlough scheme continuing till September. Again, don't get me started on that, but that's a whole different problem. So the economy is not really that attractive in that sense, but the productiveness is actually still there. So GDP is going to go up and businesses could still come to the UK. But that's the kind of problem that we've had. So John says that the Republic of Ireland will be the next to quit Europe. So again, culturally speaking, mentality-wise, yes, the Republic should really leave. They do not belong in the European Union because they are, as Varadkar said, they are pro-enterprise, pro-free market and pro-free trade. And they've also had a lot of issues with the European Union and Brussels when it comes to taxation. So they should not be in that club. And they only did it because everyone else was doing it. And this fantasy of the European family and unity, it's all nonsense. Now we know it's all nonsense. So that's the problem that we've always had. Sylvia says, France will never leave, will it? I always said that. So a few years ago, post-Brexit, when everybody was saying that this domino effect will stop because of Brexit, look at France, look at the Eurosceptics. I said, for European countries, the 27 countries, to leave, it's not the way it's going to be as easy as the UK. And when we say as easy, the UK was never supposed to leave the EU. For decades, they kept us in. You couldn't even have the conversation. Nigel Farage was shut down every 2 minutes. Eventually, it took time, and eventually the whole thing imploded, and then we did it. And the only reason we did it was because, again, there were cultural differences between the UK and the rest of mainland Europe. So when they said, at the time, oh, look at France, look at Italy, look at Greece, they're going to leave. Well, it's going to take, it'll be 100 times harder for these countries to leave. But if they do, then that's the end. So we have What 58 saying France and Germany run and own the EU. This is why if France do leave, then that means then that the actual domino effect will start because it won't really be your obvious countries that will leave first. It won't be Italy, it won't be Spain, it won't be Greece. That's highly unlikely. You never know. I mean, I'm not going to predict the future, but it's highly unlikely it will be there. Even Ireland. You're going to have one of the top players getting fed up. So either one of the Scandinavian countries who are kicking off, the Netherlands, for example, as well, or you got your France doing it. Not going to be Germany because the German state, the way the political system works, they're never going to allow the Eurosceptics to completely take control. So this is the kind of the problem we're currently facing across the continent. And this issue with UEFA and obviously FIFA is trying to stay away, but they've made some comments. They know not to get fully involved. But we got FA from this country saying things. You got Boris Johnson, Oliver Dowden getting involved. I really don't think politicians should completely interfere in that sense. They can make comments, but don't really ban things. It should be up to fans and actual clubs themselves and the players. We need to have a soft revolution against these elites. And it could happen. And I don't really think this the new EU football will actually happen. So there's already a massive backlash. We have also Clegg saying France might leave if they can't convince its population that they have to contribute an extra 25 billion to the EU fund. To be fair, at this point, I don't think the French argument when it comes to Euroscepticism is simply just about the financial part of it. There's a lot of issues when it comes to patriotism. So the French will eventually rise up. So let's just see how the next year or so goes with the election. There's no guarantee that Le Pen's going to win, but never say never. It is. The European politics could change any moment, as you know. Right. So that's all the updates I have for you guys tonight. Just wanted to kind of basically tell you about the football business that some of you might think it's not really political. I don't really care. It doesn't affect me, but it does on a cultural level, on a wider level, because then they're going to take over every aspect of your life. And again, it's still, it is an important issue because it's people's livelihood. You got all the smaller clubs and a lot of businesses linked to football, and they're going to be affected by it as well. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget to click on the thumbs up button, as I said earlier, and also subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell and click on all, not personalized, to get up-to-date update the videos. Sorry, just one thing before I say, because Kevin just sent us a message saying, he said, I'm fuming about this foreign elites. Yes, I'm gonna do kind of more up-to-date kind of version of what's happening with this new project. So over the next few days. So stay tuned to kind of see what's going to happen. Are they going to go down or are they going to continue? Thanks again for watching. I'm Maya TC, and I'll see you guys in the next video.